Good morning. It's Sunday morning, October 6, 2019. This is Ron Brown. I'm going to do a little bit of prospecting here for the upcoming week, and I'm going to use some techniques incorporating not only the warehouse, which is down here in the left corner, but also the ranking module, and I'm using a setting Wilder relative strength 14 weeks. Now I have this set up in my ranking module right here. I have been experimenting with this on and off for a long time, and what I'm looking for are stocks that are showing exceptional strength for a long period of time, and Wilder RSI at 14 weeks seems to work pretty well. I'll also take a look at percent change, number of weeks, one, and comparative RS to the SPX for 2 weeks. So I'm going to put this back on Wilder. And then I have a ranking module, and I am in the, I'll just bring this up so you can see it. I'm choosing a group, and I am using under Ian Woodward and Ron Brown consistent earnings growth. And it is not the top folder, but the second folder. And there are several different smart groups under here, but I'm sticking with this one right here. It's just consistent earnings growth box stocks. Now, box stocks are really synonymous with consistent earnings growth. And here's Restoration Hardware, and you can see that these growth numbers are strong and consistent, and it just happens to be at the top of the ranking module. Okay, on the right hand side I have a daily chart and I have a weekly chart. This is part of what I call my fractal analysis, or looking at different time frames. Now my regular setup uses monthly, weekly, and daily, but I don't have enough screen area for that, but I can quickly drop down to the monthly if I want to see what the monthly looks like. Okay, so I've got I'm in this group I already pointed out, and let me make this full screen so you can see it. The scan I'm using is VPA and VPA -1 multi-signals bullish, and you'll find this if you have my my files under volume price analysis, which is folder number 5, and down the subfolder is number 3, and it's multi-signals bullish. Now what exactly is this? It's looking for any of these bullish VPA flags either on the most recent day or the prior day. So if I look over here, you can see on Frontline, which is marine shipping, there was a signal both on Friday and the prior day. Up bar closing near the high on Thursday, effort to rise on Friday. This one, AMX, test for supply, and up bar closing near the high. Now on this one, Churchill Downs, there was no signal on Thursday, but there was on Friday. This is what I mean by multi-signals. It's obviously better. Well, I shouldn't say that, but if you have multiple signals, it's more of a confirmation. So let's just go ahead and look at a few stocks here. What I have here is Frontline based upon my demand combo, which shows the stocks that are in most demand are going to come to near the top of the list. Now, what am I using the ranking module for? Well, I'm going through to the ranking module. I'm clicking from here to here, and it shows me out of 135 securities that this is number 14. So these numbers really don't mean anything on the Wilder relative strength, or they're not relevant. What I'm looking for is going from the top down here. But this shows me that over a 14-week time frame that the RS is pretty strong because it's near the top of the list. So I'm going to bring up Frontline. And here is the daily chart. Look at these great VPA flag signals down here as it was down around 6.5. And what we have now is we have a low volume test, and then the following day that was a confirmation of that test, and then an effort to rise, but we're also getting a warning flag here that there are probably some sellers in this group. It's just a warning, but what I'm looking for is strength. Now if I go down here, I'm going to change charts, and I put these charts in recently for the Insider Club, and this is the 14 period RSI chart. I'll bring this up. Now if it's up near the top here, it means that over these 14 weeks the relative strength of this stock is very strong because it's getting up here in the upper range. Now this chart's a little bit loose. Look at the group. Group's a little bit loose too. So you need to be aware of that. I prefer tighter charts. Now I'm going to put the crosshair on here. You can see that this low volume test here, then the confirmation, the relative strength was down here in the middle, and now it's up near the top again. What happened here? You can see it got up here and then it corrected. So after it's made its move, especially on these loose charts, you need to be careful. We don't know how much more of a move is in here, but you can see that the group is going up on the weekly chart. So what am I looking for here when I'm doing this type of prospecting? I'm looking for stocks that are in demand, that have a high RSI 14 week. In other words, they're strong compared to many of the other stocks in the database. These are consistent earnings growth stocks, so I've got earnings which are favorable, and so things are working together. What I don't like the looseness of this chart. Let's go up to Restoration Hardware in the ranking module, 14 weeks, and look at this chart. Look at the difference. Look how tight Restoration Hardware is. Yes, it's had a huge move from down here, and look at these beautiful VPA flags down here. Here's a viable gap up. Never really challenged it, and it moved up. Now this too is up above the line because it's at the top of the list. It's above the 70. This is 70, this is 30. This is oversold, this is overbought. So I need to be aware of that. But also, what am I seeing here? I am seeing a stock that went from expansion to contraction, or consolidation to expansion to contraction right here, and it looks like it may be trying to go again. Let's take a look at the growth. Look at the earnings growth here, very strong. The current quarter, they're projecting 27.75% increase in earnings, so it may have more room to go. Let's look at the relative strength full size, and you can see that the group has been moving up, a little pullback here, so it's strong. Yes, it's already made a big move, so I would be leery about putting too much or chasing this stock or putting too much into it as far as capital. Let's look at this from a different perspective using the ranking module. Let's go to the percent change 1 week. You can see how quickly that changes. So what I'm looking for are stocks, and look at this now. This front line matches up with the ranking module. Let's take with the warehouse module. Let's take a look at this one, see what's going on here. So with the 1 week, and if I click through to the warehouse, it's down at number 24. What are we getting here? This stock has been weak. It's oversold. It's in a downtrend, no question about it on the daily. The relative strength is down near the lower end, but we're getting VPA flags here which indicate that there is some interest in this stock. Now this is an infrastructure stock. Let's take a look here. The group is holding up. What is the group rank? Not very good, 41, but you can see that there is some interest here. So you can use the percent change 1 week to potentially find stocks that are basing. You're going to have a lot of overhead resistance on here, but look at all these VPA flags. Worth putting in a watch list. So I'm going to add it to the group. Let's take a look at the next one. This has been a strong stock that's pulled back. It's an expensive stock. Once again, we're getting a lot of VPA flags here. Remember, I'm using the VPA multi-signal bullish. Let's see what the liquidity is on this. 50-day average volume, 380,000 shares. Too expensive for me, and I'm sure if it trades options that they're not very liquid. Let's take a look at KEM. This is a loose chart. This is a stock that never seems to really carry through to the upside. It shows a lot of promise, and then it always seems to fall back. Now this is a semiconductor stock. Trades pretty good volume. You can see the earnings growth is there, but the chart tells me it's a pretty dangerous stock. But we're getting a test and a confirmation of that test. I'm going to see what happens with it on Monday. Okay, I'm just going to go down the list using the 1 week change. And this is SINA, S-I-N-A. Really fallen out of favor. You can see there's some buying interest here, some accumulation down here. Gap up, looked very promising, but then it failed. The group is going up, but this one, the group held steady, but this one continued to go down. It's showing some promise on the daily chart because we're getting VPA flags here. But if you look at the weekly chart, it's in a downtrend. The relative strength is right in the middle, and it's going to have quite a bit of overhead resistance. I'm going to change charts here. I'm going to go to my end of day because I'm in end of day, and I'm just going to go to daily VPA. And you can see by doing this, I get the information here. If I click on this, it tells me it's an up bar closing near its high, which is a confirmation of strength seen returning. This is strength seen returning. This is a confirmation. I'm going to add this to the group, see what happens on Monday. And one thing I want to point out, when we're using the percent change with raw relative strength, this is the actual percent of the 1 week change from Friday to Friday. So SINA was up 5.48% last week. And it seems to be turning higher. So just the way I'm using this now is I use Wilder relative strength 14 weeks to find the strongest stocks based upon the ranking module. If I want to find stocks that are potentially turning up, like SINA, I use a percent change 1 week, and this comparative relative strength over 2 weeks for the SPX. This shows me which stocks have outperformed the SPX over the past couple of weeks, and the base for the SPX is 100, so anything above 100 is outperforming or has outperformed the SPX over that time. So Frontline has outperformed the SPX by, remember, 100 is the base, so it's outperformed the SPX by 15.64% over the past 2 weeks, going from Friday to Friday. It's best to just look at a weekly chart on this to see the performance over the past few weeks. Now I'm going to change this. I'm going to go to percent change 1 week. And I want to point out that this number here, 12.719%, percent change 1 week. If I go to the weekly chart, this number right here is going on a weekly chart is going to match this number right here. So you can quickly look at a weekly chart to see how much a stock has gone up that week. Let's go to a different, how about Eagle Pharmaceuticals? You can see that Eagle Pharmaceuticals up 4.68%, which matches this right here, percent change 1 week. So in summary, there's several ways you can combine the warehouse and the ranking module. Now, I'm going to review this quickly. I'm in consistent earnings growth. This is the Woodward & Brown Smart Group, which limits me to 135 stocks. I'm using the ranking module. I started out with Wilder Relative Strength 14. You're going to find the strongest stocks at the top of this list, and with the warehouse, I'm going to find the stocks that are most in demand for the short term, so you can quickly go back and forth between the two. I'm going to take a look at number 2 here in the ranking module. Look at this nice weekly chart on this, extremely tight on the weekly chart. You can see that it's a series of higher highs and higher lows all the way up, and it really has not slowed down. This is setting up nicely again. Here's an effort to rise. I'm going to add this to my group watch list, I should say, for tomorrow. And once again, these near the top are going to show the most strength. Yes, they may be overbought, but you have to judge each stock on its own merits. Now this looks, I'm not sure if this is a buyout or not. Let's look at FTI Consulting. Take a look at the weekly chart here, series of higher highs, higher lows. This did come down here and challenge this, but it formed a double bottom, and it just had a spring off of there. It has made a tremendous move over the past several weeks. Here we're getting VPA flags setting up again. Here's a test. Here's a up bar near the high closing. After a test that confirms strength, and then we're getting an effort to rise. Go to chart number 2. You can see that the group has not been doing well, but it is turning up here. Good earnings growth because it is in the consistent earnings growth. Smart Group PE is 20.84. If I go down here, it's number 22 in demand in the warehouse group. Let's take a look. Let's look at cons. That's a relatively inexpensive stock. Group is moving nicely, and then it pulled back. You can see the demand is coming in here. Shakeout here, and this is an up bar closing near its high. It confirms return of strength. So it's holding above the gap. You look at something here. Earnings are recent because the next earnings date is 12/3. I'm going to add this to my group or my watch list just in case this market continues to go. Now, if I look at the weekly chart, it doesn't look so good, does it? But I do like all of these VPA flags here. Okay, anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. Just another way to use HGSI for prospecting. You have to flip a lot of charts, as you can see, but what I'm doing is I'm incorporating both the ranking module and the warehouse module into my analysis, and I'm looking for strength and actually not only strength but pullbacks and VPA flags. That's why I'm using the multi-signal bullish screen. Thanks for listening. Have a good week.